Hello, and welcome to Assisting Elections, where today, following the success of my earlier video on the presidential election following the polls, which I made almost a month ago, it would be a month ago tomorrow. Today is the 17th of June, and I'm going to be making a follow-up video using the same site, 538, and just using the most recent individual polls for the states that I deem competitive. And first of all, I'm going to fill in the map with the, maybe not necessarily safe states, but states that really are not competitive in the upcoming election. And for the Republicans, all these states, um, they won't actually be, possible to flip to the Democrats, and that's why they're going into this column. And for the Democrats, some of these you might not consider, um, safe states like Virginia, but realistically, especially considering these polls that have come out, there's not much chance that it's going to be going to um, the Republicans. So also, for the state of Maine, I don't have much polling data of this state, so I'm just going to give it to how it went back in 2016, and most likely this is how it's going to happen again. This is the results that's going to come out of the state of Maine, but in the end, it doesn't actually matter much to the electoral count, as one party does go, overwhelmingly, or it favors overwhelmingly the Democratic Party and also Alaska. Okay, so this is the map as we have it at the moment, with all the non-competitive states filled in, and the Democrats lead 203 to the Republicans 126 electoral votes. And I'm also going to be filling in Nebraska's second district for the same reason as Maine's. That could possibly flip, especially given the poll results that have come out recently. Now, back in May, when I did this video, it was more even. However, the Democrats still came out on top, with Joe Biden being the winner in this prediction or projection following the polls that were out on the 18th of May. However, this time it has definitely shifted in favor of the Democratic Party even further. And that could be due to the recent events that have happened. And, there's quite a lot of pushback from, about 2/3 of Americans on Trump's, handling of the riots and protests that have gone across the country. So this could definitely be, pushback of Trump's actions. However, this is what I have from the states. So I'm going to start with the very likely Democratic states, and this would be Colorado, Florida. Florida, surprisingly enough, is a likely state at the moment. I don't know how much that would actually go in the final, uh, you know, final run up to the election. Wisconsin is likely, Michigan is likely, and New Hampshire is likely. Now, as you can see, these are all the likely states, and that already puts Democrats, with a victory of 271 electoral votes, and we've even gone through the rest of the states. So all these states, most of them I'd characterize as, Colorado and New Hampshire, I would characterize as likely. The rest I'd characterize as, possibly lean, maybe even tilt for Wisconsin and Florida. But there's obviously, a lot of, negative attitudes towards the incumbent president at the moment, and that's obviously reflected in these, much more competitive states seem to, slant, quite far to the Democratic side as of the middle of June. And now we're going to be going over to the lean. Now we're going to go. There's we're going to be going over to the lean Democratic states, and that would be Nevada, Arizona, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and um, those are all the Democratic lean states. There we go. Wrong one. There we go. So Nevada and Minnesota would probably be characterized as likely at this point, especially with Donald Trump's, sliding approval ratings and the polls not being very favorable for him for, quite a consistent amount of time in both these states. I'm not surprised with this, but, Arizona and Pennsylvania are two flips from the 2016 results. And Pennsylvania's, been solidly a Democratic state, and Arizona, up until 2016, that is, and Arizona has, recently seen demographic trends towards the Democrats. A lot of success in the state with the Democratic senator, uh, Kirsten Sinema, beating Martha McSally, who's up again this year. And also, Democrats now holding majority of the House seats of the state. It's not a surprise to see these, being trending towards the Democratic, uh, uh, um, towards Joe Biden, even at the presidential level. And now we're going to be moving on to the Republicans' likely states. And the only state I can give to them is Iowa. And that is currently with a 1 point lead. Biden has 43%, and Trump 44%. This is almost as tight as it can get, and that's why it's going into a tilt characterization. And I'm also going to be kind to them. Texas is currently rated as dead even. Biden 48% and Trump 48%. However, I'd probably give this a lean Republican state at the end of the day if we're following these polls, because I highly doubt that Texas will be flipping in 2020. Maybe further down this decade, 2024, 2028, it could be in play. But even with a really unpopular president as it is at the moment, especially with his current approval ratings, I can't see the demographics, shifting that much from 2016 when Hillary Clinton, had, by all accounts, a pretty successful run in Texas. She cut the lead down from being a safe Republican state down, to a lean, a likely, possibly even lean uh, Republican state, and that only shows good signs for the Democrats down in the Lone Star State. However, the three remaining states are all flips, and these are all I'd say possible, but these have been going even more to the Democrats in recent years, and they're definitely going to be targeting these two southern states, North Carolina and Georgia, and these are all these are all 2 point leads for Biden in every state, so it would be correct to characterize Ohio as a lean state just by going up the margin lean 1 to 5%, and that this would leave the Democrats with a blue wave by all standards of 367 electoral votes to the Republicans 171. Now, do I think this is actually going to happen? I would bet money that this would not happen in the actual election. I could highly doubt that this would be what you would see predictions as going into the election. But this is probably the lowest President Trump can go in approval ratings. He's probably hit like the base that he can. Most of the moderates are starting to disapprove of him now, whereas they'd been supportive of him up until this point. He reached I think his peak approval rating was it in early April when the coronavirus had just started. But ever since then, he's seen sliding approval ratings. In line with Biden's, but especially after the George Floyd protests and riots across the country, it's definitely gone upward spike for Joe Biden and even further downward spike for the president. So this is the final map, and I could I was being nice to the Republicans, saying that the even Texas polling would go in their favor. If it went in the Democrats' favor, that would be over 400 electoral votes to the Democrats and a huge electoral vote for them nationwide. However, I don't actually see that happening. Especially given with these polls, let alone looking at previous elections and trends. Texas would, almost certainly be going to the Republicans, as I do think many other states like Ohio. I can't really see Georgia going to the Republicans at this point. And, the rest of them, I would say, are competitive. Florida probably wouldn't be a likely, but, these could all possibly go to the Democrats coming up to election day. And I think it's pretty interesting to look at these polls at how far it's gone in the Democratic favor. And I can't, there's not really any more states that could possibly flip. But even if it went to the Democrats, the two possible swing states, this is saying that Democrats won every single swing state, they'd be winning 411 electoral votes. The rest of the country, will support Trump almost no matter what. You could also argue, the two districts in Maine and Nebraska could go, but this is basically the Democrats' best possible scenario, which is being reflected in contemporary polling. And it's quite interesting to see how bad the president is at the moment. And if he needs to catch up in the polling, which he did back in 2016, the last 2-3 weeks were quite positive for him. Went from having little chance in states such as Michigan and Pennsylvania, to closing gap within the margin of error. And of course, some of these states are within the margin of error, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, but there are some states like Florida which have a 10-point polling lead, and that's not even close to the margin of error. So it's quite interesting to see all these results, and this is the final map. 367 electoral votes to the Democrats and 171 to the Republicans and Donald Trump. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon.